Not gonna lie, that was a rough end to 2022. Still going to. A little sick. Don't mind me though. Now, in case you're looking to cap off your year with a big purchase, this list might be for you. Here's the list of the best audio gear that I had hands on 2022 or for 2022. And to be honest, this was a big year for interfaces and some of the features that were coming out at the entry level. So that means first up, we have ourselves an interface or two. Now, the podcasting world got a bunch of gifts this year, but the biggest one would be the included inline effects on interfaces. It's called digital signal processing, and it goes by DSP. And 3 of the biggest entry-level interfaces rocked it this year. Now, what makes this special is that it really wasn't available on anything this cheap until now, generally going for much higher priced units like the Apollo series from UA. That said, these are a touch limited in comparison, but for those who wanted to get a bit more out of their sound and wanted to do less in post, these 3 interfaces offered it up. The Revelator came first and offered the ability to route your sources, which was a breath of fresh air for streamers, as well as having the DSP. Now, the Vocaster somewhat flew under the radar as it was released awfully close to the Rodecaster Pro 2, which meant it got a bit less coverage than it deserved. And then the Connect 6 did much the same as the Presonus, but it was the first offering from Lewitt for an interface, and it brought a great deal of competition to the space for podcasters and streamers. All 3 of these represent a great next step forward in basement recording, and all 3 set the baseline for what is expected in the $300 price point. Now, this is the first RODE product on this list, but by far the last. The RODE NTH100 was released earlier this year, and RODE was looking to take their ecosystem to almost Apple levels. Though at the time, no one knew the Rodecaster Pro 2 was on the way. Now, the headphones were a welcome competition to the rest of the crowd, offering comfort and decent sound quality at a great price. The other brands still had bulky headbands and sweat-inducing ear cups. RODE countered with light and breathable headphones that didn't get overly warm. They had turned into my daily drivers, and I can honestly say they're some of the best headphones that I've used at this price point, especially if you wear headphones all day. Now, it's hard to believe that the Dynacaster came out this year, so much so that I actually had to check, and yep, it came out in mid-January of 2022. And I have to say, one of the most underrated pieces of gear from this year. It charged into the broadcast dynamic world of mics as an obvious challenger to the SM7B, and I'm surprised it hasn't been a bigger seller. Now, it came with the Dynamite preamp as well as multiple EQ options on the back, something that was badly needed in the podcast streamer world. It offers a great sound, and more importantly for some, a great aesthetic. Up to this point, it seemed like you had to choose between the two, so this microphone was a huge breath of fresh air, which leads us to the next product, also being from SE. Now, these were actually released a few weeks ago, and I know there have been some issues with getting your hands on them, but these mics did something that other companies have been trying to do for years, offering an attractive but also decent sounding microphone at the $100 to $200 price point. Now, these microphones are camera ready, and both have respectable sound, not ripping up your ears with distorted frequencies. Again, I'm really hoping these mics put SE on the lips of everyone when looking for a great microphone at a great price. And if you'd told me at the beginning of the year that there would be USB mics on my list of favorite gear, I would have laughed at you. But here we are. RODEX dropped later in the year, and while the mics themselves were cool, they were slight retoolings and skins of previous mics that RODE had already released. The big difference, though, was Unify, a free-to-use software if you bought one of the microphones that offered up powerful routing options for streamers as well as something never seen on a USB mic before, DSP on a USB microphone. And this makes this list for this very reason. Earlier in the year, I'd sworn off USB mics altogether because they were all the same, just being released for the sake of it. I am no longer reviewing most USB mics.
Well, this is awkward, isn't it?
No one really doing R&D to separate themselves from the rest of the crowd. In a word, it was getting stale. Rode blew the top off of that and set the bar so much higher for other companies to even come close. And the barrier to entry is a mere $150. That is a whole bunch of usability for so very little, which leads us to our final and top pick for best gear from the year. And of course, could it be anything else? I mean, anytime you say unrivaled, it means it's the best of the best, right? And that's exactly what the Rodecaster Pro 2 is. Unrivaled. There is no match. There is no competition. There's no compromise. It's the flat-out gold standard for control surfaces for everything. Podcasting, streaming, even music. And that's all because this is not just a piece of gear, it's a platform. One that Rode will continue to update over the years until this thing becomes obsolete. Now, it's rare to say that a piece of gear changed the direction of an industry, but this kind of did. It raised the bar for anyone that wants to challenge its supremacy, and it laid the groundwork for an ecosystem that is reminiscent of Apple. There is no company that is doing more research and development than Rode, and it's starting to really pay off in spades. So what do you think? Did I get any of these wrong, or did I miss something completely? Hit me up down below and let me know. And if you're wondering what my best performing video was this year, I know I was, here it is. Let me just say I was shocked.